I'm very excited to bring the industry leaders, Intel and Corning, to speak with us today about the innovative solutions they have implemented within SAP GTS, within compliance management, customs management, and risk management. Well, that's pretty much all the sub-modules in GTS, but no worries, we're only going to focus on the specific solutions that Intel and Corning has implemented. I would like to get right on point, so we will get right into it. But before we get started, I would like to introduce myself and my guests today. And also, if anyone has any questions during the discussion, please feel free to contact Pinary via the email provided on the slide deck on the bottom right side on the following slides. My name is Greta Villegran. I am the CEO and founder of Pinary with offices in US and Germany. We specialize in SAP GTS implementations and are known in the industry for our innovative solutions. I would like to welcome my VIP guest today, and we have Joy Yu. Joy is the ITG Business Process Program Manager from Intel. Then we have Lisa Grulich. Lisa Grulich is the Trade Compliance Manager for Americas at Corning. Then we have Hugh Ho, who is the ITG Program Manager from Intel. With each guest, we're going to talk about the challenges that the company was facing, and then the solution they implemented, which is the innovative solution we're talking about, and then finally the benefits that they see from that solution. So we will start with touchless broker enablement implemented at Intel. Although broker enablement is a standard functionality in SAP GTS, at Intel we have implemented successfully touchless broker enablement. The reason we call it touchless is because not a single user is involved. All the work is happening automatically in the background. This solution has been implemented for several countries and today is live in the productive environment. Hugh, let's start with you with the Intel's touchless broker enablement. Could you please talk about some of the challenges that Intel was facing?
Yeah, so Intel, we operate as a global company. We have various countries where we import and export from. Obviously, we have a lot of customs broker that is a part of Intel supply chain. Our challenge is being able to collect the necessary import-export data for the everyday use, whether that's to optimize your compliance programs, or to identify any anomalies of such. Obviously, we don't have a standard process to collect this data. On some sites, we are reaching out to customs broker, requesting for them to send us the data. On some sites, we are going to the web portal and essentially downloading these data. It's not harmonized, it's not standardized. So every site have their very specific process, different reporting that they would use to essentially identify these anomalies that that we would have, or to identify areas of improvement. So that's the biggest challenge that we have. And obviously with that, it comes with a lot of high demand for resources to perform all those functions that we have today. And I believe that GTS, with partnership with Pinary, it does give us an opportunity to address some of those challenges.
Hugh, have you seen that when you do have to download, the team has to download the data from the broker system, is the data readily available from their system, or have you seen delays in getting the data?
There's usually a 48 hours delayed for capable customs broker. Other customs broker, it may be a little bit longer. But yeah, again, collecting the data, whether it's in real time, 48 hours or delay, there's a burden, but it's not necessarily the toughest. The toughest is standardizing the data. Every broker, every country has the different ways of presenting the data. Yes. Imagine, you're having over 20, 30, or 40 customs broker. Standardizing that's not going to be easy.
Yeah, I can imagine the reporting process. If you have to, at the end of the day, get the data from various brokers, and if standardization is such a pain, then the reporting at the end of the day for Intel must be just as painful.
Very painful, yes.
Yeah. So Hugh, what solution did Intel implement? Can you tell the viewers about that to resolve these challenges?
Yeah, so it's really partnering with Pinary, and using GTS to build a framework. What this framework again is, truly is an automated touchless solution, where we're integrating with the customs broker, essentially collecting these data, bringing it into a orchestration system, if you will, where that orchestration is standardizing all your data and landing that data in the correct field, correct tables within GTS, for you to then obviously standardize and also get your report at real time. Now you're not having to reach out to your customs broker to collect these data. You're not having to run metrics and pivot tables and whatnot to standardize these data. All that is being done automatically by GTS and Pinary.
Yeah, and it is pretty much real time. As soon as the entry summary is filed, then the data is sent to your GTS system, where automatically an import declaration is created by the system. Hugh, just wanted to know a little bit about if different brokers, if you can talk to it to our viewers, different brokers in different countries are going to have different way of communicating. Can you tell the viewers if Intel has been able to standardize that, or does it matter which data, which way of electronically communicating a broker has? Are you able to accept any type of communication at Intel?
Yeah, so it really depends on your company's infrastructure in terms of connectivities, right? We understand that every customers will have their own capability and limitations. So we're lucky enough within Intel where we can support probably most standards out there. Of course, with Pinary support as well, even though we can support, we do want Pinary to have the capability to support these capabilities as well, all these solutions, if you will. So yeah, so it really comes down to what can your broker support, but at the same time, Pinary was able to have the expertise to support all of these different services, different connectivities that customs broker can support.
Thank you. We also have are building a framework for Intel, so that regardless of what functionality, regardless of way of communicating electronically, Intel is able to receive the data. We also had to take into consideration, just for our viewers, that we're working on that, is if a broker in a certain part of the country or certain part of the world, I should say, does not have any electronic capability, even then we have a methodology to receive the data from that broker and consume it and still follow the same automation in GTS.
That's correct.
So, Hugh, can you talk a little bit about the benefits of the solution that has been implemented?
Yeah, for us, it's really just, being able to simplify our governance model. Right now that we have all the data that's in one enterprise system, standardized and harmonized, we're able to improve our governance model, both from a business process perspective, building out your SOPs, keeping scorecard, if you will, with your customs broker to ensure that they're actually following the SOPs that were created. Now you have data to support those categories, if you will. From a system deployment perspective, we're also able to standardize it as well. Right. So that was really a big help for us. We definitely didn't want, one of the things that we didn't want with this implementation from a system solution perspective was not wanting to start from ground zero. And I think with the framework that we have built with Pinary, every implementation, whether it's introducing new data, new connectivities or whatnot, this framework will enable us to not start from scratch. So that's one of the benefits from our system solution. Coming back to business perspective, now that everything is standardized, we're able to identify anomalies, which I had mentioned before, and these anomalies really does help us identify these areas of gaps that we may have within the compliance program. It would ensure that we identify areas of improvement too within the business process that we may have. There's opportunity for cost savings now that you have data. There's you can choose now to be aggressive on your within your compliance program with these data to back you up. There could be certain free trade program, could be drawback programs or whatnot that you may not be taking advantage of today because you don't have these data. Having everything centralized, available to you, you can be a little bit more aggressive with your compliance program.
That's great. Yeah. So, and I want to thank you, Hugh, for the hard work that you put into this, and you are continually putting into this as we're scaling this to different countries. And also I want to thank Intel for giving Pinary the opportunity to create this innovative solution. A lot of companies, they say they don't want to be the guinea pigs. Let's say they don't want to be the guinea pigs. They don't want to be the first one to implement a solution because they're afraid. So we did the POC for Intel at first, which was successful. Then we implemented for many other countries, and we continue to do so. And it has been very successful, and it will continue to be successful globally as we move forward. So thank you very much for putting the trust in us and working hard with us.
Of course, and of course, thanks to you guys as well. We look forward to future implementation with Pinary.
Thank you, Hugh. Now, next we will move on to Lisa Grulich. We'll talk about FTAs. Although FTAs are a standard functionality as well in GTS, so what is the innovative part, or what's so different about what Corning has done? And for the viewers, I would like to let them know is that Corning was one of the first to actually integrate GTS with non-SAP feeder systems, not one, but a few different feeder systems, and with SAP as well, for FTA, for preference processing, which is a very complex functionality in its own, but then Corning was brave enough to add that added complexity of integrating with non-SAP feeder systems. Lisa, could you please talk about some of the challenges that Corning had and the reason that you decided to implement this functionality in GTS?
Sure, thank you, Greta. Corning had particularly, we have multiple different business platforms, and we have a fairly significant global footprint with importing and exporting with our customers and internally from Corning to Corning. FTA is a major opportunity for us to reap savings and duty avoidance for Corning, but also pass that forward, of course, to our customers as well. The challenge that we saw at the time that we looked at this, which was over, I will tell you, a period of multiple years of going back and forth, benchmarking, trying to determine which system did we really need it at this point, so forth, back and forth, as you do with many projects, right? But when we finally got off the ground and determined that one of our divisions, which utilized the non-SAP feeder systems, was in, I will say, critical need of a new system, this is when we decided to go with GTS. And then eventually decided to partner with Pinary on this because of the different ideas and innovation that they brought to the table in some of our initial meetings. But we were seeing challenges, again, with the as Greta mentioned, as multiple non-SAP feeder systems within that one division. How would we get the data into GTS to feed the preference module? The second largest challenge that we had was that we wanted to be able to go live with multiple FTAs at one time. Because of our global footprint, we had customers around the world that use multiple US-based free trade agreements, and we needed to be able to, of course, pass those forward and continue that relationship that we have with those customers and providing those certificates. So a lot of complexity there, unfortunately, and in what we called phase one. So we hit the ground running in a very complex area.
Yes, that's true. And for the viewers, Lisa, I would also like to add that another thing that Corning did that was pretty wise was that for the integration with non-SAP feeder systems, although we could do an automated interface I remember in 2019 when I was sitting in the office's first time we met. The question was, if you are not, Corning is not planning on keeping those non-SAP feeder systems for long term because you're rolling them into bringing them into the SAP world, then why spend the money and time for maintenance of the interfaces? So the decision was made early on. We had recommended, let's do download and upload, which has, I think, worked really well because that saved a lot of cost for Corning. So again, thank you for taking that challenge and not shying away from doing something that other companies have not done before. So I wanted to bring that out there because a lot of companies do come to us and they say, well, we have these certain regions where we don't have large ERP or we have homegrown systems, but we don't want to invest in those systems going forward. So is there something we can do in the interim, which is what Corning did?
Right.
So,
right. And it has proven, that particular division still functions within those non-SAP feeder systems, but they are, in fact, moving slowly. They are in the midst of moving slowly to the SAP platform as part of Corning's IT roadmap, right? So we're slowly transitioning them out. But after we got through the project and saw the again, the cost savings and the time saved by not building those interfaces, which take complexity, time, effort, money, that kind of thing, it has turned out to be the right solution for us in that particular business.
Right. I know we have already mentioned GTS, so for the viewers, we're talking about the solution. Can you briefly mention how many potential FTAs you implemented in the US and in EMEA? And if you can have a special mention for what replaced NAFTA, because that's a big scary thing for a lot of companies now.
Oh, sure, absolutely. So within what we called phase one, which was our US business, where we had the non-SAP feeder systems, we did implement within that project at the same time, we implemented 5 different FTAs. USMCA was included. And interestingly enough, that was included mid-project. So when we started the project and the planning and the building, the agreement was still NAFTA, if you recall, former name of that. And then, of course, in 2020, mid-2020, that is when NAFTA moved over to USMCA. We were very fortunate, Corning was, because much of the changes within NAFTA to USMCA impacted the automotive industry and just a couple of other industries where we are not necessarily involved. So a lot of that was not something that we had to take into account with that changeover. However, there were some, of course, within the FTA world, rules of origin that did change for our products. And fortunately for us, they were to the positive side. So it turned out for us to be not as complex as what we had perhaps envisioned. But we did implement with those 5 FTAs, of course, USMCA included. Then in phase 2, when we implemented in the other division where the feeder system is SAP, particularly within EMEA, we implemented a number of 24 or 25 different FTAs because there are so many that are EMEA based, right? So there were many that were involved there. And within phase 2, only in the US, we of course already had USMCA. So it was just a matter of implementing for that particular division.
Yes, I would also like to add, Lisa, that another thing Corning did was automation of the LTVD or LTSD. In standard GTS, that is not an automated solution, meaning receiving of the LTVD or LTSDs into GTS and getting it auto-populated in the GTS tables. That was another automation, another thing that Corning did that was different than most other companies. This, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it really helped where the users didn't have to manually input the data into the GTS systems because the receipt of the data was automatic.
Yes, absolutely. So if I remember correctly, Greta, you're right. We did look at the GTS provides, there's a portal that could be perhaps implemented as you deploy the preferential system. And again, in the vein of reducing costs and time and effort, overall in project overall, what we did was partner with Pinary and those in one more innovative solution to design a format that could be produced within GTS, populated to a great extent for the supplier, so that they only have certain data elements within the FTA form to populate. And then we send that out. That goes out automatically via email, of course, populated with all of that information. And then if they populate that form, we would then be able to bring it back in-house and ingest it in an automated upload format into GTS. Now, of course, and I know any company that has experience with FTA, you don't necessarily always get from your suppliers the exact format that you want. You many times get PDF because of their own internal systems. This is what they produce. So we certainly make allowances for that, and there is some manual input that we have to do there. But for the most part, I think we've been fairly successful at getting the format that we need to be able to automatically upload that data.
Yeah, that's correct. And then the other thing we did at Corning was the intercompany automation. So that when one company sends goods to another company internally, you don't have to do the sending and the receiving of LTVDs or LTSD, because we created a program where the data was automatically taken from one company and auto-populated in the tables for another. That also was a huge time savings, which we did in phase 2, I believe. Lisa,
Yes.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just going to agree with you. Yes, I think we didn't recognize that so much within phase 1 as we were deploying, but when we moved into phase 2, and we were of course more fully developing our capabilities and our understanding of the system as we were utilizing it after deployment. That did come as something that we did need to do. And so within phase 2, yes, and then we activated, of course, retroactively for phase 1. And you're right, that has saved us a great deal of time, because we realized that we had components there that we didn't know where they were coming from, and we weren't necessarily receiving them or receiving the right procurement indicators, those types of things, which is critical data to make the preferential system work.
Exactly. I mean, we learn, right? As we implement, we learn the functionality itself is so complex, even outside of GTS. GTS definitely helps because you don't have to then worry about performing the calculation manually. So for phase 1, we did static bombs. For phase 2, we also did configurable bombs, which was also another complexity. But it is live successfully, so it's
Yes.
working. Everyone's hard work paid off. Lisa, could you tell everyone about the benefits that you have received by implementing this functionality in GTS?
Absolutely. So if I go back to the beginning of what I mentioned about the particular division that was on the non-SAP feeder systems, and our one of the 2 largest divisions utilizing FTA overall, again, their homegrown system was something that was very outdated and very complex to maintain. And we had someone in-house who was doing that and then retired. And so that began to fall on our team as well, and was very complex to do. So we realized we had to have that. So what we've been able to do from a benefit perspective is continue to realize the same amount, if not even better, savings, avoidance, duty avoidance, and passing on of certificates to our customers as well. I think that part of that is because the functionality in the system allows us to perhaps have more visibility to more products than what we were able to see in the past, and have that granular visibility to it and determine, okay, where, not only what are our customers asking for, which is of course absolutely paramount, but what are we crossing borders with? And we can go directly into the system and see, okay, what data is missing to make this qualify, or truly confirm for ourselves this is not qualifying because of a country of origin or an RBC rule, what have you. So we're able to maintain those savings and those benefits to our customers, right? And this giving us, of course, a strategic edge over competitors that of course those distributors and those customers want. But even more importantly than that, I think, and I put on my compliance hat here, of course, is that level of mitigated risk, right, that the GTS system gives us. We know that the functionality there is working well, and that there are, because of the rules of origin and because of the way that the preferential system works, we don't necessarily have to oversee it granularly from day to day. We have to trust that system. We trust that we input the data correctly, receive the data correctly, and then trust that the system, of course, is working correctly, which of course was so much that we vetted during the deployment as well. But then we're also moving into a project to do some auditing, right? Because we also, again, I've put on my compliance hat, we also have to do that continuously to make sure that our systems are working correctly. But that was our largest, within our business case when we went to deploy, that was one of our largest, if you will, legs of our stool to stand on, was that this might not save us more than what we're saving today. However, it will mitigate much of the risk that we are seeing.
Lisa, have you had the need or even the capability to quantify the savings for your customers?
For our customers, oh, that's a very good question, Hugh. We have been, of course, asked that question, and to be quite honest with you, to the best of our ability, what we can do is perhaps take an estimate from the volume of sales of the particular products into each country. But then, of course, one particular division that we have, their customers, their direct customers are distributors. So we really then don't know how far it's going forward, right? But directly to those distributors and to the customers that are buying directly from us, it's hard. Yeah, it's hard to quantify. So that's as far as we've gone at this point, is to say we're continuing the business because we're able to continue providing the certificates of origin, of course, but all we can do is kind of base it on the sales volume.
Great, thank you, Lisa.
Sure.
Yeah, that was a good question, Hugh. Thank you for asking that. The good thing is that at least Corning can quantify and know the savings that you have, Corning has, and the recovery that Corning has today. Yeah. So again, thank you, Lisa, on behalf of Pinary's team that worked with you guys. Thank you for having the trust in us in providing this solution to you guys. It was extremely complex, very challenging, but we all came out as a winner. So again, thank you for that.
Yeah. Thank you. And we would extend thank you to Pinary as well, Greta. We've talked about this a couple of times, but just the professional manner in which the whole project was conducted on both sides, and then just the ease of the dialogue back and forth, and ease of presenting any idea from any avenue to get us to the solution was great. So thank you.
Thank you. The next we go to, last but not least, is the trade compliance solution for software downloads and for services transactions implemented at Intel. And we'll go to Joy Yu. Joy, you've been extremely involved and very helpful in this challenging project, and we have done this multiple times now at Intel, has been implemented successfully. Could you please tell the viewers about some of the challenges that Intel faced before you implemented this solution?
Yeah, so for Intel, we started as a hardware company. And so when we build infrastructure, it was for hardware. So we have a very mature, solid hardware transaction solutions from beginning to the end. And now the software and services business becoming more important for our strategy. And we are actually one of the biggest software companies that's not well known. So we are building the unified enterprise solution for the whole end-to-end. But in the meantime, we have multiple disparate systems that allow export activities. For example, the billing engine for software and services. Our ERP system is legit. It's not flexible enough to accommodate the various software and services model and new business models, and even the master data, we don't have the standardized set of master data when it came to software and services. We're changing that, and it's changing rapidly. But in the meantime, we had to make sure we provide compliance solutions for those various systems at Intel.
Exactly. So we'll talk about the solution that Intel chose. I know initially Intel was looking at different software to perform these compliance checks upon software downloads or even for services. Then ultimately Intel changed its mind. Please talk about the solution that was implemented then finally.
Right. So it was a shared responsibilities. It's a distributed responsibility. So we are providing the instructions and expecting our internal Intel folks to do the right thing. So from there, we switched to real-time automated central screening solution for software and services. So of course, GTS is our compliance engine. So of course, we wanted to use that. And with Pinary's help, we were able to build a solution that can connect to various systems.
Yeah. So you have a lot of non-SAP as well as SAP feeder systems that are actually, we built an interface with SAP GTS, and in real time, we're receiving the data and also sending the blocks or the release. So we're performing SPL checks, embargo, and license determination. And anytime there's a block or a release, we send pretty much real time back to the non-SAP feeder system. In addition to that, and correct me, Joy, if I'm wrong, if I remember correctly, as everyone knows, with SPL, it's quite challenging, right? So you could have a false hit, right? Somebody's trying to download the software, and we get that feed into GTS, and you screen it, and you get a block, right? And the person is not able to download the software because it's blocked now. But when a team member reviews, it's a false hit. So is it correct that then we are later able to send the correction that it's now released, it's no longer blocked, back to the feeder system, the non-SAP system?
That is right. And one of the strategies is that we create a master data. So when external user build a relationship, so, at first they just give us the email address to access something, but then they want to receive different information or download additional software, then they need the name and address. So there's a standard master data account created So the screening gets done at the master data level. So by the time the user tries to access, we already know the screening result. But in cases where the relationship just started, they created an account so that I can download it right now. Yeah, that could definitely be the case. GTS thinks that it's a potential match. We blocked it, but at we, the high rate of a false positive rate. So that is an unfortunate case. So in such case, they just have to wait. And in certain services scenarios, they try to open a consumption transaction and they couldn't open, then that's the end of it. There's no concept of we'll let you know 2 hours later or 2 days later, then you can then open it. It doesn't work like that. They can come back 2 hours or 2 days later, they can open the transaction. So yeah, there are some corner cases that we have to handle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Have you seen any benefits after implementing this solution, Joy?
Yeah, as mentioned, distributed responsibility to central automated solution that removed resourcing needs and enhanced our compliance and reduce the human errors, and really from our customer user experience perspective, because all of this, it gets done near real time. Just because there's one more step to check the export compliance, it doesn't impact our user experience. So I think that's one of the key deliverables for us. And we continue to come up with a new business model. It's complex, but we have one solution that we can repurpose. And so, if a business group comes to us and asks for, hey, we got this new business model, can you help? Then we're ready to help.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so I would like to just echo that we have been able to successfully create a solution that, regardless of what non-SAP feeder system, or even if it's SAP, different business models, regardless of that, because each business model is going to have slightly different requirements, right? So we are able to repurpose, leverage the solution that we have and make slight modifications to then go live in a very fast manner and scale the solution globally. So this solution is currently in Intel's productive environment and has been working successfully, and we keep on adding more business model to that. Thank you, Joy. Thank you again for giving Pinary the opportunity for creating this solution. We actually had implemented this at another client before we implemented at Intel, but Intel has taken this to another level. By that, what I mean is that we have not only implemented with one non-SAP system or one business model, but with multiple different non-SAP feeder systems and with multiple different business models. And we keep on repurposing and reusing the same solution, which is the best ROI for a company. And I just now, as closing statements, I would just like to just have a conversation with you guys, and really quick, a small conversation about the SAP GTS and using SAP GTS as a system of record, your experience with SAP GTS so far. Anyone can talk about it.
I have an observation for sanction screening, and there, are new technologies out there, AI, and I wonder if there's something groundbreaking solution that can deal better with less than ideal, customer data quality, because that has been always struggle for us. We weren't always disciplined in managing master data. So sometimes the data quality is not there. So any intel, Greta?
I have something, but I can't mention that right now.
Okay.
But data quality is, of course, a challenge for everyone. There are certain methodologies that every company must follow when it comes to data quality. And if that governance is there, if that methodology is followed, then I think it'll be much better. The screening results will be much better. If we have bad data going in, we can't expect miracles with the results, right? So if companies manage their data, and there are standards, there are companies that actually manage their data as per standards, and they're pretty strict about it, then it does help with the results for sure. I also want to point out another topic. I've noticed that with Intel, we created a touchless broker enablement solution, and with software compliance, compliance checks upon software downloads and services, less users are involved. And at Corning, the same amount of users are involved, but they're used in a different area of the company rather than doing the mundane daily tasks. So the point I'm trying to get across to the companies that are watching this is that please don't be afraid of automation. Automation does not mean that you will have to let go of your team members or people will lose jobs. Automation also doesn't mean that I mean, you can have complete automation and you can still have the same team members working in the company. It really depends on the company. It's not the software, but it's the company and how the company wants to utilize their team members. Anything else you guys would like to say before we close this conversation?
Hey, Greta, I'm glad that you brought that up to touch on that, because that's what we have found here when we deployed some years ago, when we deployed the export screening module, as well as when more recently we deployed FTA. We had to make sure that we told that story, that we weren't necessarily looking to automate and reduce resources in any way, shape, or form. We were trying to shift those resources from doing tasks that automation could do, so that our folks could spend more time on strategic and planning and working, handling daily operational questions from our businesses and so forth, rather than releasing unnecessary holds for export control, that kind of thing. So yes, that's what we're finding.
Yes, and growing their skill set, focus on that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, well, thank you very much. And we have been able to successfully create, implement, and have zero defect go lives, have implemented several creative solutions for large companies. And thank you again for the opportunity. I forgot to mention is that what we talked about today is our customer success stories. So there are a lot of things that we cannot share because of the confidentiality that we agreed upon with each company. So people who are watching, if there are any specific questions, because we cannot share, Corning and Intel cannot share a lot of information, again, due to confidentiality, we can answer the other technical questions. You can feel free to reach out to me at greta@pioneerinc.com or contact@pioneerinc.com. The contact@pioneerinc.com is the email on the slide deck, which you will see during the recording. And thank you again, everyone, and have a great day.
Thanks for the partnership, Greta.
Thank you.